Come, let us fix our eyes on Jesus. This is Unpopular Theology, Episode 4. Today, May 1st, is the feast of St. Philip and St. James. Who were they, and how do we celebrate? That's the subject of today's video. Before we get started, I'd like to give a couple shout-outs. Number one, shout-out to anybody from St. Louis or Fort Wayne who received a call this week. Whether you're a pastoral student, vicar, deaconess, intern, or deaconess, congratulations. I don't know if any of you watch these videos. If you do, leave a comment. I know one person who got a vicarage call from Fort Wayne. Next, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends and supporters of the channel, David and Amanda, who are getting married tomorrow. Very excited for you guys, and I hope everything goes well. And I will be watching. So with that, let's get into the subject for the day. Let's talk about the biographies first. We'll start off with St. Philip. St. Philip, he is an apostle. He has a bit of a unique call. From John chapter 1, we find out that he's from Bethsaida, and Jesus goes there, and Philip follows him. And then immediately, Philip goes and talks to his friend Nathaniel, and Nathaniel's a little skeptical at first. It's the famous line, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" And Philip brings Jesus to Nathaniel, and Nathaniel believes and follows. It's a great story. We also find out from John a little later on that some Greeks go to seek Jesus, and the Greeks go to Philip and Andrew, and Philip and Andrew bring them to see Jesus. We're told in John chapter 14, Philip asks Jesus to see the Father, and Jesus tells him that him and the Father are one, and by that he means one in substance, not one in person. He's not teaching modalism there. I want to make that very clear. But the point is in the verse that if Philip has seen Jesus, he's seen the Father. From the book of Acts, we are told that Philip went to Samaria. Samaria is the area that was right next to Palestine at the time. And the people of Samaria were half Jewish, half Gentile, and them and the Jews did not get along. So this is a clear sign of Christ for all nations, including the most hated people by the Jews at the time, the Samaritans. Next, we're told from St. Philip that, from St. Luke, who writes about St. Philip, St. Luke being the author of Acts, that he was on the road from Jerusalem to Gaza. He was led by a spirit down there, and he found an Ethiopian eunuch in a chariot reading the book of Isaiah. And he asks the Ethiopian eunuch, he asks him, "What are you reading?" The Ethiopian eunuch basically says, "Well, how can I read unless somebody tells me?" And Philip gets on the chariot and tells him about Jesus and how the book of Isaiah is really about Jesus. And the Ethiopian eunuch asks to be baptized and gets baptized by Philip. And from there, Philip kind of vanishes, and where's he found? He's found in another city proclaiming Christ. And that's kind of the last we hear from him from the book of Acts. According to tradition, he was martyred, crucified on a tau cross that differs from the type of cross Jesus was crucified on. The fact that it's the shape of a T, like this. It's a little bit, so you get the idea. And he's remembered for being the proclaimer of Christ to both Jew and Greek. Next, we move to St. James. Now, St. James, I'm not going to lie, it was a little tough to find information on him. It's not very well known. What we do know about him was this is not St. James, the son of Zebedee, the brother of St. John. This is not St. James, the author of the book of James. And Yeah, all we really know about him is that he is called St. James, the son of Alphaeus. We don't know who Alphaeus was, really. That's the title that the Gospels give him. And then we also have the title St. James the Less. Now, that could either mean that he was shorter than St. James the son of Zebedee, or that he was younger than St. James the son of Zebedee. We don't really know much about him. The Bible doesn't give much information. I couldn't really find anything about martyrology, how he died. But we remember that he followed Christ, and that he gladly heard the call and heard the Savior's voice and followed. And likewise, we do the same. So, the readings assigned for today and how we celebrate. The Old Testament reading is from Isaiah chapter 30. It's verse 18 through 21. In that verse, the Spirit of God through Isaiah tells the people of Israel that though they have rebelled, though they have sinned against God, God still will redeem them and still loves them. And that is a great reminder for us as well, that though we fall short, though we rebel against God openly, God still loves us and has sent his Son to die for us. Ephesians chapter 2, 19 through 22 is the epistle reading. And in that reading, we get how we are told by St. Paul how we were foreigners and strangers is the word he uses. Strangers and aliens to Christ. And Christ, in his mercy, loved us and brought us into his family. And this is kind of a flashback to the Greeks, the Ethiopian eunuch, and the Samaritans, how they were all foreigners to Christ. They were not a part of the nation of Israel. They were not part of God's chosen people. Yet, through the work of Christ's servant, St. Philip, they come to Christ. And they believe in him. And we are just like them. We also celebrate by singing By All Your Saints in Warfare. For those of you who have a Lutheran service book, it's 518 verses 1, 16, and 3. I'll read for you verse 16. I know some of you are probably thinking, oh darn, he's not going to sing, or hey, that's pretty great, he's not going to sing. But so I'll just read it to you and hope you get the idea through the words of this song. We praise you, Lord, for Philip, bless guide to Greek and Jew, and for young James the faithful, who heard and followed you. O grant us grace to know you, the way, the truth, the life, to wrestle with temptation, to triumph in the strife. And that's a good reminder that these two were apostles. According to tradition, all the apostles except St. John died a martyr's death. And so it's a good reminder that we follow Christ through trial and tribulation, just like the apostles, just like every other Christian through the 2,000 years of Christian history. So if you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe, go over to our Facebook page, like us there. We post new stuff every day, Monday through Friday. On Mondays, we have a devotional that I'd like to point out to you guys. And it's usually on the gospel reading from the previous Sunday. And we also do this on feast days. So maybe that would be a little incentive for you to go check our Facebook page out. Until next week, we're going to be doing what I think are the top 10 myths about Lutheranism that I've either encountered or I've heard about other people encountering, and why they're wrong. So until next week, keep your eyes fixed on Jesus.